The meeting is now called to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Here.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Here.
Councilmember Dallahan? Councilmember Moore?
Here.
Councilmember Krafcheck?
Here.
Councilmember Parzak?
Here.
We just did receive notification that Councilmember Dallahan is on his way. We'll let the record reflect when he arrives. The meeting is now open. Adequate notice of the meeting was provided by posting a copy of the time and place on the municipal clerk's bulletin board and mailing a copy of same to the press and Cape May County Herald on January 9th, 2021. For the record, this work session was held via video telephone conference in a Zoom format. Will everyone please rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So what we'll do is start the work session. We'll skip public safety and we'll wait for the chairman, Councilmember Dallahan, to arrive, and we'll start with recreation and tourism.
Okay. We're very proud that our recreation director is coaching lacrosse today, which is her passion. And Jenny Olson will be filling in and giving Tina Prickett's report.
Okay, good afternoon. I have Tina's rec report. All facilities have been de-winterized and all nets and windscreens are up. Court rental fees begin June 14th. Registration for summer camps are open and can be found on the Recreation Department's website under camps. Registration for Stone Harbor Summer Sports Clinics, Arts and Crafts and Youth Basketball League will begin May 1st for Stone Harbor property owners and May 24th for non-property owners. Registration can be found on the website under Youth Clinics and Basketball League. And adult summer offerings are posted on the website under summer programming. That is Tina's report. I have, for tourism, 5 special event applications, sorry. The first 2 applications are from the Stone Harbor Chamber of Commerce. And there are some representatives on Zoom and here in person if you have questions or need clarification on anything.
Okay, is Maggie Day on Zoom?
Well, I was going to start with the sidewalk sale, if that's okay.
That's fine.
The first application is for the Stone Harbor Chamber of Commerce sidewalk sale. The date of that event is Friday, April 30th through Sunday, May 2nd. Typically, the first weekend in May, the Chamber holds a Spring Tide Festival. An event of that size really isn't feasible this year, so instead they're proposing a sidewalk sale to encourage shopping for their member businesses. Merchandise would be put out on the sidewalks, but will not obstruct the right-of-way, or they can't have any tents or canopies. This event takes place before our next meeting, so we would have to have a vote on this one in the regular council meeting. That's the only one that's like that. The rest of them can wait for the regular 2 weeks.
Okay, I spoke to Maggie Day earlier today, and she was going to be on as well as Marnie. I think one of the...
Somebody on Zoom, it says Stone Harbor.
Marnie.
That's Marnie.
Okay.
Stone Harbor Chamber, okay.
Okay, Marnie.
So I don't know if you had any questions about the sidewalk sale itself, in lieu basically of the Spring Tide Festival.
So I think one of the things we wanted to discuss with council is one of the issues that's been presented to me, and I think it's Marnie and Maggie as well, is if you remember last year during the height of COVID, there were many weekends that we allowed businesses a little slack, and we allowed them to put racks on the sidewalks. And apparently, there's been some concern that this has been happening with regularity over the past month. And the question comes down to enforcement.
Are you saying that the merchants have been putting stuff out on the sidewalk already?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So that's something, we have the police chief here in the back, he can keep an eye out. He can have patrols keep an eye on that.
If you'd like to, if you'd like any additional info about that, I'm happy to say a few words about it.
About the actual, the sidewalk sale?
Yeah, so
Or
that, well, both. You know, obviously what's on the table today, and I would love to be able to tell you more about, you know, the plan for Friday. So it would be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 30th, the 1st, and the 2nd. The idea, of course, is just to kick off our business district spring season and allow them to all have one 6-foot table and up to, you know, one large rack outside for those 3 days. And it would be regular business hours, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We would ask, you know, if you wouldn't mind till 7, that's great as well, but most businesses at that point, you know, are most likely done at dinner hour. Last spring we did this at the same, I believe, right around the same time to help with the idea that we weren't allowed to have people inside stores last spring. At this time it was curbside pickup, but you know, all of our wonderful businesses are anxious for a great spring season, so we are hoping to be able to display outside and promote the weekend as more like a, you know, a spring cleaning or a kickoff to spring sidewalk sale that we will advertise in the Herald and online for those 3 days in a row. The rack issue, you know, that is happening is a separate issue, and we can discuss that when you're ready. I did email Ray about that issue just to ask him some specific questions, but this particular application, you know, obviously, you know, is timely about next weekend. So thanks.
okay, I would say that the issue of the stores who are presently in violation by having things outside their stores without any special event going on can be addressed through the zoning office and through the code enforcement and police department. So at this point, it sounds like everyone is now aware that there's that going on and that can be addressed. So as far as the sidewalk sale, is this, Jennifer, the same as what we were doing? We did quite a few times last summer where we had one rack permitted and it had to be attached to the building. Do you remember how, like, is that where we want to go with what we have been doing, or?
I don't, can you explain attached to the building? You mean you want it up against the building, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yes, I think we could make that directive.
So it's what, if you can have one rack
One rack, one
and one
6-foot
table or 2 racks?
What are the instructions for a sidewalk sale? Marnie, can you tell us what a sidewalk sale entails?
Sure. So, you know, obviously our big end of season sale is larger. I've never done a spring sidewalk sale until last year due to the pandemic. And at that time, we had asked for a little, we called it our toned down version of the summer and the summer sale. And we have mentioned, you know, same rules apply in terms of aesthetics, no brown boxes on the street. If you have a table, the table needs to be covered so that if you have anything under your tables for storage, you cannot see it. You know, aesthetically, we want everyone's storefronts to look just as nice as their insides do. So to limit this to one 6-foot table and one rack is reasonable. However, you know, if businesses have an opportunity to put 2 racks out that are unobstructed to the sidewalk, or, you know, that aesthetically they're looking fine. Obviously, we would appreciate any additions to the ability of people to be able to shop outside those 3 days. But, you know, again, we don't want it to look like our end of summer sale. This is more of an enticement for people to come to town, be able to shop inside for new merchandise, but also be outside with some sale items. And, you know, so limiting, we can limit, of course. I would love to say 2 racks and 1 6-foot table. That would really be wonderful. So if somebody does have an opportunity to put 2 out and keep it within the limits of their, you know, of their storefront, then great.
I think we still need to be concerned with the size of a crowd, correct? What's that number right now?
200.
So the number of an outdoor gathering is still at 200. So I would think that if we could offer 2 racks or a rack and a table,
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
you know, and there is a difference over last year in that folks are permitted in the stores. So you shouldn't have as much like clumping up outside as
Yep.
could have happened because you can go in the stores.
Absolutely. As, you know, we are looking at this as a promotion for people to know that Stone Harbor Business District is open in early spring, and to please come enjoy, dine, shop, local, you know, spend your weekend and extended weekend here in town.
Okay.
Mayor Judy, if I could, I believe I recognize Maggie Day in the audience. I didn't
Oh.
recognize her with her mask on. Maggie, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Come up to the microphone, Maggie, please, so the record picks up whatever you say.
Hi, how are you? Don't think I have too much to add to the sidewalk sale conversation. I did want to bring up the fact in front of you that, A, we appreciate everything that you've all done for us over the past year. It's been wonderful. Our town is very unique in the fact that we've all been cooperating together with the government and the fire department and the police department and Chamber of Commerce, so thank you again for that. And secondly, we have the issue that you were discussing as I was walking in, going on with some ongoing violations that our members have been coming to us for years. And we didn't bring it up during COVID for a specific reason. But years passed, and now, again, we would like to address it a little bit and take the stance that we would like to help in any way possible. I'm not really sure how the Chamber can police any of this, as it's not really our jurisdiction to police it. We can't walk into a business and say, hey, you're breaking somebody else's rule. But we could write into our policies, and we have tossed that around, that you must be in compliance with borough ordinances and borough rules, and, you know, in order to be a member of our organization. Now, is that going to really stop them from doing it? They might just say, okay, thank you very much, but we don't want to be a member of your organization. So we would like to ask for some help from the borough on that.
Well, I would say to code enforcement, I mean, as far as you having to police that, no, we would not expect that of you. But perhaps a simple reminder to your membership as the season comes in, please be cognizant, follow all the borough ordinances, which include and address that
We do that.
specifically.
Yes, for sure.
And then as far as anything seen, it'll be handled by the appropriate offices. That's nothing that you personally or,
No.
the executive board or the chamber member, that you have to police.
No, I just wanted to formally request it and also offer any help that we can give.
Okay.
If we could do a roundtable discussion maybe on it and say, hey, Chamber, could you do this, this, and this? Yes, of course. And hey, Borough, could you do this, this, and this?
Yeah.
Maybe we can, it's just so everybody's on the same plane.
Yeah, okay.
But as far as sidewalk sale, I think Marnie covered it.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
you're going to hang around for Turtle Trot discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is
Okay.
next.
All
Don't
right.
get too comfortable.
So for the sidewalk sale, then, everybody's comfortable with that because we're going to have to do that motion in the council meeting because we don't have another meeting in between now and that event. So that's that. Okay.
Okay, so next is the Chamber's Turtle Trot.
Okay.
This is This takes place Sunday, May 30th. That's Memorial Day weekend, 8 a.m. It's an annual event. Last year was canceled due to COVID. The race course utilizes First and Second Avenues from the beach lot at 96th Street down to 123rd Street and back. Barricades, road closure signs, cones are requested for the course from Public Works. No parking in the 96th Street beach lot is requested from 6 to 11 a.m. the morning of the race. They do request some aid from the police with the directing traffic during the race. Now, they get approximately 400 participants at this race. It, could be more. So the race will have to be managed so that the starts are staggered with, smaller groups and runners to allow more distancing. So I don't know if that's something Maggie wanted to talk about.
Yes, that's something that you guys are, so right now, I think last year you had 382 participants in the race. So that does not include the probably 100
Staff.
others. So I would say you're pushing about 500 people total. Do you have a plan? Maybe by Memorial Day weekend, the numbers have increased, and it's
Right.
a non-issue, but in the event that it is an issue, do you plan to continue with the race with staggered starts, or would you not do the race? What would you do?
What we would hope for is staggered starts.
Okay.
I did just do a couple races in Florida in the past 2 months. One was professionally and phenomenally done, one was not.
Okay.
So I can tell you the differences, and I have talked to our race director.
Okay.
And I've talked to our, and he's been in talks with our timing guy, who's been doing races since last fall, actually, live races.
Okay.
And he's very familiar with what works and what does not work.
Okay.
One of the things that was wonderful at the marathon, half marathon, there was a lot of people. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, it was O Dark 100. They did extend the length of the corral, which is where people kind of gather and huddle before the start line, a couple blocks. I mean, really, it was like
Yeah.
the equivalent maybe of here, Stone Harbor, five blocks. And they separated people at that race by pace times. Our race
Okay.
director, they had signs on sticks.
Right.
8-minute mile, 9-minute mile, whatever it was.
Right.
They're kind of separating people like that. Our race director thinks that this is more of a fun thing. People don't really know their split times necessarily. So he wants to separate it similarly, but in a separate fashion as to race bib numbers.
Okay.
So he wants to increase the number of bib lines for registration, only off-site registration, so there are no day of registration.
so okay.
Only picking up your bib.
Okay.
So you're doing that, but you're doing it in more lines. I think in the past, there's been 3 lines, like A to.
So there'll be no,
something,
okay. Are you
alphabetically.
planning
So
on
he wants to increase those.
right away, no same-day registration, or is this something that you're going
That's what he's
to?
suggesting, no same-day
Okay.
registration, because it will cut down on the time that people are kind of gathered together.
True, yeah.
They're only going to be picking up their bib there that morning, so then he wants to spread the lines out for actually picking up the bib.
Okay.
There'll be no somebody handing of the water, so all the water will be put on the table with somebody that's masked and gloved, and then as the runners run by, they'll pick up their own
Okay.
water, things like that. Another thing that was really great in Florida, 2 things that I want to mention. One is they staggered trash cans right after the start line. The man on the mic was the man in charge. He kept repeating himself over and over again, your mask must go in the trash. So everybody has to come with a disposable mask, unless they're carrying it the whole way with them, which I'm not sure who wants to do that. But you must be masked until you are over the start line. Once you go over
Okay.
the start line, your mask goes in the trash can, just like as if you just drank a glass of water, it goes in the trash can. Your mask must go in the trash can. So there's a couple trash cans down after the start line, all the masks in the start line, then you can go. At the end of the race, either masks are provided, or you have someone there you're leaving and
Gives you
putting
a
your
fresh
mask on.
mask.
There
Right.
are no award ceremonies, so
Okay.
nobody is hanging out afterwards.
Okay.
You can schedule to go pick up your award if you won
Okay.
something. And the other thing, it was, if you are feeling ill, morning of, if you have come in contact with somebody that tested positive, if you tested positive yourself, we are offering full refunds.
Okay.
So if you feel ill at all, don't worry, you're not going to miss out on your money.
Okay.
You can still, or you can come collect your T-shirt and still pay.
Okay.
But please don't come. So that was another thing that he really agreed with the refunds, offering the refunds if you're.
So do you anticipate you're going to need more First Avenue shut down prior to the race to have people
I would
lengthen
say
out?
more
or
than
they
normal, for sure, more than normal, if we want to extend that corral, properly so people can be spaced. for the start times, because it's a chip time race. So as soon as you go over the start line, your time starts.
Right.
You can way back where, and
Okay.
it's still going to be timed appropriately.
Okay,
It just spreads the people out.
okay, okay.
So
So
I
you've got
would like to go
you've got a
for it.
plan then in the event
But we
that,
have a lot of, yes.
Okay.
A lot of planning
okay,
in order to make it safe.
yeah, okay. Sounds like you're ready. I mean, that addresses the major concerns, I think. Okay.
Yeah, are there any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Well, you have a plan for the turtle trot, and I get that, but what do we do? But the sidewalk sale, people really just have to police themselves. And we have all these elaborate things we're going to do for the turtle trot, but the sidewalk sale, it's just,
Well, the reason being
you
because
know.
the turtle trot, normally what you do is you have 382 people are in one big group standing there, and they're standing with one another for several minutes, literally packed in tight. And then you start and you go and everybody goes. So that's why the start of the turtle trot is such a concern. As far as the sidewalk sale, people will be kind of filtering in and
Yes.
about. There's not that initial everybody, and then after the race, usually everybody bunches up again, and then awards get given out. So the bunching up is not going to happen.
Right, correct.
But that's like, for a fact, you're going to have 400 people in the same place at the same time. So that's why that
And
needs so
things that
much more.
weren't mentioned about the sidewalk sale that were maybe assumed, I apologize, are the same protocols are going to be taken by each individual business as are being taken right now with the hand sanitizer and the masks and the social distancing. And, so each individual business has been set up for now a year. Can't believe it's been a year, but each individual business has been set up to address these issues since last March. So yes, of course, all those same measurements are still in effect. The
Yeah,
hand sanitizers are still there.
Well-
And it is spread out over several blocks of shopping instead of one spot.
yeah, no, it's.
I don't know how they categorize these outdoor events when they're not all in the same, that there
Right.
should be some kind of square footage or something,
Yeah.
Because yes, it's like a marketed event, but it's not all in the parking lot or
Right.
something,
So that's why I say the turtle trot's got way more concerns than the
Right.
sidewalk sale, much more
Exactly.
concerns,
Yes.
yeah.
There are no parking closures, there's no, blockage of streets for the sidewalk sale. The sidewalk sale will take place, 9 hours a day over 3 days. So we really don't anticipate, a large crowd at one time. It'll just hopefully be a consistent flow of shoppers enjoying the town.
Yeah. And the other thing on the sidewalk sale, you said you would like it to go till 7?
I would, just because,
Just light out.
some businesses will be open later on a Friday and Saturday evening. And if it's daylight and they'd like to leave their rack out till 7, we could do a 7 PM pull in, at that time, that's when
Okay.
the racks come in. Some people may do a shutdown at 5 outside just because of help and their hours at the time, but if anyone is open and would be wants to stay outside a little later, I'd say 7 would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody object to 7 PM? 10 AM to 7 PM? Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Okay. So we'll do the motion at the next meeting we'll do that today to approve that. The turtle trot will bring back in 2 weeks for that. Okay.
Great. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so the third application I have is for The Little Mermaid Junior. This is a musical production by the 7 Mile Island Players. The dates are Thursday, July 29th through Sunday, August 1st. It's at 6:30 PM performance on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday, they'll do a 4 PM performance. They did give me a rain date as well for the following week, August 5th to 8th. This would take place at the 81st Street Athletic Field. The 7 Mile Island Players, they have a summer theater program that they're running through our recreation department. It's a new program that we're doing this year. The application is for the actual musical production that'll take place at the end of their theater camp. They'll provide a stage in front of the bike storage area. They'll provide their own sound system. They'll provide 10 by 10 tents, their own tents for ticket sales and some concessions. The only requests from Public Works are for trash cans and cones to keep people off the stage. And the audience will be instructed to bring their own beach chairs and blankets.
Okay.
Fourth, Garden Club of Stone Harbor Community Yard Sale, Saturday, May 15th, 8 to 2. That's at the Borough parking lot at 96th Street and First Avenue. This is an annual event sponsored by the Garden Club. Last year was canceled due to COVID. And it raises money for the Garden Club to purchase plants for the baskets and urns in towns. Requests are barricades for the parking lot on Friday Friday evening prior to the event, trash, recycling containers for the event. They've also already provided their insurance certificate for the event.
Okay.
And then the last one I have is the Shore Softball Classic. That's sponsored by Heyday Athletic. The date for that is Saturday, July 24th, 8 to 7. That's just a reservation for the softball field for a softball tournament that they have. They're expecting about 60 participants. And they will provide their insurance once their event, they know the event's approved. And that's been an annual event. Same thing, was canceled last year because of COVID.
Okay. So you'll bring, those other four will come forward in 2 weeks for a motion to approve?
Yeah, we have time for those. I know, we just wanted to update you on the beach opening event, Saturday, May 29th of Memorial Day weekend. We are going to have this 9 a.m. color fun run. This is not a timed race. So depending on the number of participants, it'll be the same type of thing as we were talking with the Turtle Trot. We're going to start them in small groups. The entire run takes place on the beach. It starts 95th Street. It will go north to 82nd Street and then turn back around and finish at 95th Street. Along the course, there will be 3 color stations. The first 200 people to sign up do get a free T-shirt. And we'll be encouraging people to, dress up in costumes for we'll have some prizes for some different categories. And then the official beach opening ceremony that we normally have with the mayor and Sandy will take place after the run.
It's like immediately following, we anticipate probably about 10:15.
Probably around there. And you'll be able to sign up for the color run on the recreation website very shortly.
Okay, I was going to say, so the first 200 people that register get a free shirt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to order 200 shirts, so
Okay.
we're not.
And we anticipate there'll be a lot of room to spread out at 9 a.m.
I think so. I think, the earlier the better for that race.
Yeah,
so.
yep. Okay.
Have we heard anything about the parade?
Well,
At this point, we're a little reluctant to have a parade at this point. The Legion will have their ceremony that they normally do at the post. No open house, but they can have more people than they had last year. But they'll just do their ceremony outside.
have they set their time for the ceremony yet?
I'm waiting to get a time back from them because we don't want it to conflict with the fire company does something at 11 at Freedom Park here. So I just got to find out
So
what works
usually
for
at
them.
11, and then the parade usually started at noon, but I'm not sure what Avalon, because usually too.
We have to coordinate it
they're
with
posting
Avalon.
Avalon before,
Yeah.
okay.
Because
So
they're doing
as soon as
something
we
in
know-
Avalon first, I believe.
Okay.
So,
Why don't you continue along the line of that, like the parade, and then what else is happening Memorial Day weekend?
and the
market-wise?
farmer's market opens on Sunday. Right now, just we're full for the season. We've got about 32 vendors. But that'll open Sunday, the 30th, at 8 o'clock.
So it'll go 8 to 12:30, and then we're
Normal.
going to do some kind of ribbon cutting.
We'll
at
do,
10
we
o'clock.
do a little opening there. Typically, we do that after the Turtle Trot ends, so once we know that we get a time for that, usually like
Okay.
11 o'clock or so.
Okay.
And that is everything.
Okay, there's great anticipation and a lot of questions over this color run, so people are really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's good. So we thought that we could give a prize for, we want to encourage red, white, and blue. The colors being shot are going to be the different shades of the red and blue. Going to be wearing a white T-shirt. Prize for most patriotic individual, most patriotic group or family, and the mayor's award.
Mayor's choice, yeah.
And the prizes are 2 beach tags. And a Stone Harbor beach towel. So that's what the prizes are going to be. And it is like, so people know it is not a timed run. There is no timing company involved. It's just 95th Street, 80th Street, and back.
Yeah,
On the beach.
we'll give out I have plenty of sunglasses. They can wear those to protect their eyes from the color, if that's a concern to them.
So we'll have the red, white, and blue sunglasses.
And the
too.
color is, it's cornstarch, so it's not like anything toxic or anything like that.
So it should be fun. Anything else, Jennifer?
Anything else, Jenny? Okay, I believe that concludes our report.
Okay. We're going to back up and let the record reflect that Councilmember Dallahan arrived approximately 15 minutes ago. And we're going to turn it over to him for public safety.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to ask Roger Stanford to come up and give his report on the fire department.
Good afternoon. Have to get my costume ready for the color run.
Yes, you better.
After a very slow January and February, March has picked up with our call volume. We had 19 fire calls for the month, which is above what we had last year. We had 31 EMS calls, and we had 11 last year, so that's definitely picked up. During the month, we had 2 building fires, 1 cooking fire, 5 EMS assists, 6 natural gas leaks, 1 cover assignment, and 4 fire alarms. Next month's report will reflect how busy, especially Easter weekend was. It's definitely, I think it's going to be a busy summer for all of us, so. Any questions?
I think so, too. Anything for
Thank you,
Roger?
Chief. Next, Tom Schutte for the Police Department report.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Police Department report, just an update on personnel. Our 5 Class 2 officers completed their police academy training this past Saturday, and gratefully, 2 of our recruits received training awards from the police academy. One being SLEO 2, Tim Meineke received the academic award, which is an award presented to the person who had the highest academic average in the entire class. And the class had 59 recruits.
Nice.
His academic average was a 96%. And Class 2 Officer Matthew Grubb received the Director Award, which is the highest award presented by the Academy. That's for the recruit that attained the highest overall average in the entire Academy, that being academics, physical training, firearms, and driving. So,
Excellent.
yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
It's a good group we had. We'll have another 4 Class 2 recruits beginning their training on May 1st with an expected graduation date in late June. Additionally, we have 2 SLEO 1 officers that will begin their 2-week training course from June 1st to June 10th. And we have a 3rd Class 1 officer that will actually be returning from last year, which is very helpful, and he's expected to begin working in early May. New Officer Daniel Gomez is finishing his full-time officer recruit training at the Police Academy, and he's expected to graduate on May 24th, which is helpful. We'll have him just prior to the holiday. Just an update on the municipal court. All's going well with the shared services with municipal court and Avalon. We had a few logistical things to work out in the beginning, but they were very minor, and everything's moving along smoothly with them.
Good. Good.
Questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Next up is Sandy Pasacco, who will give the report on the lifeguard Department.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
To start, the beach tag office will begin being open on weekends in May. So it's actually May 1st will be the first day. It'll be 10 to 4 weekends, and then it will open every day for the season on Saturday, May 22nd. So between now and between May 1st and the 22nd during the week, the tags will continue to be sold out of Borough Hall like they are right now, but then we take everything over for the weekends. We'll be having interviews for the beach tagger positions in the very beginning of May. We'll actually be doing it as we open. We do have enough applications. There aren't an overwhelming amount, but I think we have enough that we shouldn't have any issues. The new lifeguard tryout is scheduled for Sunday, May 30th, and that's a ways off yet, but I don't see any concerns with staffing for that. As far as I can tell at this point, the number of applications we have and the number of guards returning seems to be pretty solid. And that's my report.
Good news.
Thank you.
Do you want to continue with the building update with Sandy and Mark, or?
Yes.
You want me to?
Beach Patrol building
you might
update?
have more information. Well, we met, what was that, about 3 weeks ago? And we discussed the next stage of the plans. We keep tweaking things and changing it, trying to make it a little more practical and maybe save some of the cost. And I assume we're having a meeting at some point. Bill had said he wanted to have a meeting again at some point in the next few weeks. But I think Mark might have more details at this point from where it is.
So here, fill in some of the details on the status. On Thursday, the architect sent back over to the borough revised plans that have been updated as per the meetings with Sandy. The plans are currently being reviewed by an estimator to make sure we're staying on budget. I've requested a meeting, hopefully for next week, with Sandy, the architect, and the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer to figure out where Sandy wants switches, electrical outlets, et cetera. And the architect is approximately 50% done design. So if we can bring this together timely, I think we're on target for a bid for early June, hopefully early June, mid-June.
Okay.
So we're making progress. I think we just need to make sure Sandy's satisfied, we get a sign off, and to the best of our ability with the crazy world that we're in with pricing and lumber, to have the best available data to have that estimate before we go out to bid. And I think, if we do what we're supposed to, we'll meet that target by mid-June.
Very good.
Okay. Got it. Anybody got any questions?
No question.
Are these locker rooms big enough? Are you? They don't. No, you've got like 11 lockers in each one. I don't know how you use.
That is one spot that seems a little small, yeah. We discussed it. I think we'll continue to work on it. But we all felt the same way about that.
Well, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, you're in this footprint. So if you expand those, you take it from someplace else, I'm assuming.
Right.
Okay, but you're still in discussion about that. Okay.
Okay.
Next, JT.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Only one thing. Finally, after a few years of trying, on April 12th, I got an email from Marty Palugi. With his help and the help of Congressman Van Drew, we were able to finally get the county certified as a storm-ready county, which will encompass all of the municipalities that participate into it. I've been fighting this fight for almost 3 years now, and I'm very glad that Marty was able to get it done. It doesn't sound like much, but it does get us community rating points, and all the more points we get, the better off we are. So I just wanted to give my thanks to Marty and to Congressman Van Drew for making it happen. It does now allow us to put the storm-ready signage back up in the borough if we so choose, and use the logos and whatnot. So I'll talk to Grant about that and see if maybe we can get 1 or 2 of those. I know Avalon has theirs whenever you enter the borough, that they're up there. So it just lets people know that the borough is doing everything that it can to make the community safe from flooding and weather events. And that's all I have.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes the public safety portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Councilmember Dallahan. Moving on to natural resources. Councilmember Casper.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I begin my report with our trapping update at Stone Harbor Point. A licensed trapper hired by the DEP was on site from March 3rd to the 14th to trap mammals for the benefit of endangered beach nesting birds. 2 raccoons, 3 skunks, and 3 possums were caught and ultimately euthanized off-site by way of gunshot. This sad and distressing news prompted me to schedule a Zoom meeting with 2 members of the DEP and council members of the Natural Resources Committee last Friday. In a previous meeting with DEP and NJ Fish and Wildlife, it was determined that the only choices our mammals have are to be either trapped and subsequently shot or to be shot by a sniper. Our Natural Resources Committee agreed that enlisting a sharpshooter would be the more humane option, assuming the word humane even has a place in this conversation. Several non-lethal methods were discussed during the meeting, but unfortunately, none thus far are deemed feasible by the DEP. There are some future possibilities in the pipeline, though, so if any of these materialize, I will surely share the wonderful news. In order for a sharpshooting scenario to be possible, our ordinance regarding the disengaging of firearms within the borough would have to be modified. This whole topic will be open for discussion at our next work session. Any questions? No. My next update will be the beach nesting bird situation provided by the DEP. And so far, we have 14 active oyster catcher nests, and we are happy to report regarding the plovers that Mr. Petunia is back for another season, and we are still waiting for Mrs. Stanley to arrive. Several migrants and our regular marked breeding birds are present also. Thank you. And moving on, the next topic is the beach sweep, which happened this past Saturday with special thanks to Allison Jones of Clean Ocean Action, Brian Williams of the Wetlands, Kim Stevenson at Stone Harbor Borough, and the Chamber. A total of 61 people showed up who were divided into 35 groups. 22 blocks were covered, including the stretch to Hereford Inlet, minus the roped-off sections, protecting endangered birds. In addition to Stone Harbor homeowners and Cape May County residents, these 8 organizations also helped: Wetlands Institute, SHPOA, Stone Harbor Elementary School, Pure Juice and Kitchen, Shore Medical Center radiology students, Kennett PA High School, Old Navy, and Tacoma Park Middle School. Per this report from SHPOA's Stephen Hudson, the final trash tally is pending, but a dumpster was filled. For beaches that appear clean, a significant amount of trash was removed, with much of it being construction material. A lot gets caught in the dunes and around the fencing. At this time, I welcome Wetlands Director Lenore Tedesco to share the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good to be here. I have a quick update on the bird sanctuary, things that are happening there. We did make some changes to the use of the trail systems at the sanctuary this year and where we're going to hold the tours, just kind of put those together. Typically, Holly Path has been seasonally closed from March 1st to October 1st, about the past 7 years. And with that seasonal closure, we moved the tours to Egret Espy, which is just further down on Second, if you're not familiar with the name of them. This year, we've opted to leave Holly Path open, so it is not closed, and we're going to move the tours back to the Holly Path area. There's a couple of reasons for this. By way of background, we made the decision, the borough made the decision to close Holly Path basically during the bird nesting season because we were trying to make a concerted effort to see if we can get the birds back, the wading birds that were nesting in that area. We were seeing the presence of more wading birds, especially black-crowned night herons. We're using that area. They're still out there, but they seem to have spread out more, so we don't see that concentrated focus area of them there. So the idea to move back to Holly Path came also with consideration of the bird experts at the Wetlands Institute, thinking that we really weren't seeing that disturbance. We didn't have that same concern about disturbance. And also, we had some concern about the crowding of the tours if they were to continue to occur on Egret Espy. It's a narrower trail, it's a shorter trail, people are more packed together. So for the COVID considerations, the fact that we are going back to the tours, we thought it made more sense to get to Holly Path where the trail's wider, it's longer, people could spread out a bit more. So we have made those changes. We updated the website. We spoke with Grant and Public Works. They're comfortable with all that. We did request a couple of changes. There's a fence down towards where Paul's Pond on that stopped people from going back into that area to give the birds some more space. There were 2 benches on the other side of that fence. So the idea was to see if they could move those to another spot that made sense there, and also to move the signs that tell you where the trail opens, which is something we can do easily. It's a hanging sign that's under the sign. So that should be an easy fix. We did work and adjust the notifications on the websites, and I worked with tourism to make sure any place we're announcing the location of the tours, all that has been shifted, so people should understand that we're back to those other places. And then the only other thing I really have to report related to the sanctuary is that the Wetlands Institute research scientist Brian Williamson has begun surveys for endangered frogs, as well as the box turtle work that is happening at the sanctuary. Those are both with permits from New Jersey DEP, and we've been in communication with police officers. He is in there later in the evening and didn't want anyone wondering what he was doing out there. Frog listening is the answer if anyone's questioning it. Stone Harbor Point update. The only thing I have to add is the point was closed to beach driving on March 15th as per the requirements and annual requirements. The police, then with that, for those of you that are not familiar with the police driving rules down there, the police moved into the next step of the vehicle program access there that right now, that was with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and DEP. So right now, while there are nests there, but there are no unfledged chicks. Those are chicks that can't fly. So we're in a phase now of closure, but not no little birds running around that can't fly. So they are still allowed to drive on the beach with a regular SUV. They're limited to the hard packed beach at speeds of 5 miles per hour. When we have the first the chicks hatching, which I guess we're thinking it's basically about a few weeks based on the report of the oyster catchers, then they would move into the phase where they need to be in the open ATV with the escort in front of them. So we're in the second phase now of that. DEP will obviously notify everyone that when that happens. We're anticipating that'll be mid-May, and at that point, they would need the escort. We are, the Wetlands Institute right now is in the process of interviewing for beach steward positions. We're in the late stages of that. We have good candidates, so I don't anticipate challenges with the steward hiring. And everything's working moving forward well, and at some point in the next couple of weeks, we'll be reaching out to the police to retrain them again and just go through the communication plans for the year.
How many beach stewards do you look to hire?
Usually about 6. So the Wetlands Institute also provides a stewardship program for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service down at the 2 Mile unit, and the stewards switch up, so just to get coverage, because it is 7-day-a-week coverage, so it's actually quite a bit
Mm-hmm.
to do
Good.
that.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have a little bit more information. The Shade Tree Committee met on Monday, April 12th. Our borough recently was awarded the Tree City USA designation. For the past 23 years, Stone Harbor has maintained this status. Arbor Day is scheduled for Friday, April 30th, and will be held in cooperation with Stone Harbor Elementary School, the Garden Club of Stone Harbor, Lomax Consulting, and the Borough of Stone Harbor. A tree will be donated by the Garden Club and will include a dedication. The Go Green Committee convened on March 25th. The Borough of Stone Harbor will be working towards submitting our application to Sustainable Jersey and is hopeful to maintain our silver certification. We must complete action items promoting sustainability totaling 450 points in order to qualify for this certification. The committee also discussed ways to further promote water conservation and recycling education. On tonight's agenda is a resolution authorizing the borough to make application for grant funding through Sustainable Jersey. If awarded this grant, the Go Green team will use this funding towards the Go Green Fair on August 2nd and update and distribute the current water conservation brochure. Our 2018 ordinance banning the use of styrofoam, single-use plastic, plastic straws, and plastic bags remains in effect, although throughout our business and shopping district. Regarding proper public recycling, we are falling a bit short. Trash is being tossed into clearly designated recycle containers, thus contaminating the entire contents. The efforts of well-meaning folks and the borough are lost as all compromised recycling ends up in the landfill. And finally, Stone Harbor Museum has announced that Kim Park has stepped down as director effective April 30th, and candidates for the position are already being scheduled for interviews on May 1st. Kim, you have done a wonderful job and will be very missed. Thank you, everyone. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any questions for Natural Resources? Okay. We have 2 items for discussion. I'm going to ask the administrator, Bob Smith, to, him and I, just to bring everybody up to speed, we met with the Atlantic City Jitney Association at their request on Friday morning. And they reached out to Stone Harbor first to discuss with us and ask for our support on an initiative that they are taking. So the Jitney Association is going to partner with a company by the name of Endera, and they're going to transition all of the jitneys from what is now natural gas to electric. So they're going to transition the entire fleet. There's 190 jitneys. So what they're going to do in doing this transition, they're hoping to get state funding and federal funding to help with the transition and to help with the funding for purchasing the vehicles. They would like to see the jitneys running from Asbury Park to Cape May. So at this point, what they're doing is approaching the state, and if I leave anything out, or correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that you covered the essence of the conversation, and really the ask on the part of the borough was to see if we could submit and endorse a letter of endorsement, for the proposal. And it's basically as the mayor had outlined. Conceptually, it was very attractive, the way it was laid out. There was an emphasis, of course, on, the public transportation aspect, but just as much on the clean energy aspect, if you will, going from compressed natural gas to eventually, electric. And the people that had presented to us felt that there would be, some synergy and some energy built along the coast, for a type of transportation project that was friendly to the environment as well as to the traveling public. But you basically laid out all the key facts, Mayor. Carrie, included with some of the agenda information, the proposed letter. I know it's very long, but it really is a letter of endorsement, without, any financial commitment, necessarily on our part, but just conceptually, they were asking for the support of the governing body, and so we wanted to bring it to your attention.
And it's something they have meetings set up for, I believe, this week, correct?
I think so, yeah.
And they're asking just basically that we say we support the initiative. We see it as beneficial for both Stone Harbor, Cape May County, the state of New Jersey, and there's no other commitment other than that. So there will be a motion in the regular meeting to authorize me to sign that letter and to send it back to the Jitney Association so they can just say that Stone Harbor is, has listened to what their plans are and is in support of the plans. Any questions on that? And they're going to be upgrading their service. I think everybody's following in the Uber track, even fare-free transportation, the county fare-free, where you're going to be able to see where jitneys are live. You're going to be able to actually have an app, so you're going to be able to schedule your jitney and, so on and so forth, to keep up with the ride-sharing, Uber and Lyft. The jitneys served us well for many years. I imagine most people in this room have probably used it at some point. And for them to transition the entire fleet to electric is certainly something that is, it's beneficial. The second item, a change order to pave various streets within the borough. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, we received a request from Public Works Department relative to some additional paving that was requested. Some of the spots are full repaving of roadways, some are some trench restorations. I received an email from Grant to obtain some costs, so as you may be aware, we have two paving contractors in town. One is Asphalt Paving Systems, the other one is Fred Chavone Construction. We received quotes back from both of them. As you could imagine, they were very competitive. The lower bid was submitted by Asphalt Paving Systems in the amount of $127,869.72. And the second quote from Chavone was $129,277.61. Essentially, Asphalt Paving Systems was approximately a little less than $2,000 better in price. I secured the quote, sent them over to Grant and Bob, and I guess it's before you as council to determine if you would like us to proceed in preparing this change order as requested by Public Works. What I would note is similar to what we did on Paradise Drive. I believe that Public Works is requesting to have this paving done because of the condition of the roadways. It's being done, atypical to our process, which is in advance we give property owners at least 6 months' notice when we go to pave a roadway. So what we did on Paradise Drive, I believe council might have done this by resolution, that we acknowledge that the road, if you so choose to move forward, will be paved, but not under moratorium because proper notice hasn't been given. This is a temporary measure to deal with what I believe Grant perceives to be bad roadway conditions to get you through until these roads get done permanently.
Okay. So your council will see this in 2 weeks in the form of a resolution for the change order. So if you have any questions, there's ample time to get more information.
I haven't
excuse me, in the four years I've been here, I haven't seen this kind of request before that I can recall. I mean, normally it's just the road, the standard annual road projects we do.
Yeah,
So what
I can't.
what happened this year that all of a sudden,
I don't want to speak with 100% certainty for Grant. He might have driven around town, saw a couple problem spots, and thought they should be addressed.
do we have funds available for this?
I would, by the time we do the resolution, we have to have the funds available.
So that would be looked at before we vote.
Right, we're going to have, right, before we can go ahead with the resolution and award the actual bid, we're going to have the funds available.
So I guess on Paradise, didn't we just do Paradise last year? Didn't we resurface the whole road? I know we didn't do a full construction on it, but we did put another.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yep. So that's an example of a roadway that was paved last minute that the moratorium's not applicable.
Okay, well, the nice thing is we have a list here of where it's at.
You have a list of exactly where it's at. And like I
Nothing to
said,
do tomorrow, we can all ride around.
there's time to get your questions answered because this won't, we will not be voting on this for 2 more weeks. Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay. No other items of discussion on the agenda. Any final questions for any of the 3 committees, Public Safety, Natural Resources? And
Can I just ask real fast, on the, and maybe you don't know this, the new lifeguard proposed building design, what's the exterior covering on that? The print's so small I can't read the.
I believe it's supposed to be hardy board.
Hardy board, okay. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Work session is adjourned. We're going to move right into the regular meeting. The meeting is now called to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Here.
Councilmember Gessimer?
Here.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Here.
Councilmember Moore?
Here.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Here.
Councilmember Parzak?
Here.
The meeting is now open. Adequate notice of the meeting was provided by posting a copy of the time and place on the municipal clerk's bulletin board and mailing a copy of same to the press in Cape May County Herald on January 9th, 2021. For the record, this council meeting was held via video telephone conference and a Zoom format. Will everyone please rise to salute the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any communications?
Yes, we do, Mayor. Dear Mayor, the SHPOA is in recommendation to study the borough budget process, has asked the borough to investigate alternatives for trash collection. As a senior citizen and permanent year-round resident of Stone Harbor, I vehemently opposed changing Public Works collection of our trash to an outside contractor as is done in Avalon. Being a senior, one of the best benefits living here is having our trash collected from our backyards. I feel that it is so beneficial to me as a senior to not have to drag our heavy cans full of trash and recyclables out to the curb, sometimes in bad weather. This problem gets even worse in season with trash collection twice a week. In having a private contractor, I do not believe any cost savings is worth in any way the loss of this service provided by Public Works. Sincerely, Louis Swikert.
Are there any other communications?
No, Mayor.
We need a motion accepting the communication from Mr. Schweikert into the record.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have our dock hearing, correct? I think I skipped over that.
Correct.
Okay. Is
I don't see Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Bowen on Zoom?
Are we getting ahead? Don't we want to do the minutes and the,
I was going to get to that. I wanted, so we can just get the doc hearing, and then we'll move on to that, so Mr. Bowen can be done. I see that he's on Zoom, but he's not answering. Frank? Okay, we will catch up to him. Can I have a motion concerning the minutes?
Mayor and Council, I move that since all council members have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the work session and regular meeting of March 16th, 2021, the work session and regular meeting of April 6th, 2021, if there are no additions or corrections, I move we dispense with the reading of the minutes and that they be approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Bowen, are you there? We'll keep moving along until he is. I will now have public comment. Anyone wishing to address mayor and council may do so at this time by either approaching the desk in the middle of the council chambers or raising your hand electronically.
Good evening, Mayor
Hi.
and Council. I am not certain of the process, whether I should bring my comments up here or later in the meeting. I have comments on the new proposed grading ordinance.
On the what ordinance?
On the new grading ordinance proposed.
The lot grading ordinance?
Lot grading, yeah.
There is a public hearing specifically for that
When
ordinance.
that's discussed. Okay, then I'll bow out now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Herzog, you're on Zoom. I see your hand up.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. I sent all of you an email this afternoon regarding the stormwater line, which was removed during the construction of 10315 Sunrise.
Thank you.
Did all of you have a chance to read it?
No.
No, I don't. What time did you send that, sir?
It was like 2 o'clock this afternoon, so I apologize for it not getting to you sooner. In a nutshell, the stormwater line was put underneath the property at 10315 Sunrise was removed during construction, basically putting at risk that section of Stone Harbor around 104th Street, which is an area that floods rather routinely anyway, so it made the matter worse. When it was brought to the attention of Stone Harbor, they installed a temporary pump and piping to be able to basically try and keep that area from flooding. That pump and piping is now gone, and there's no obvious protrusion through the new bulkhead to show that a new line has been installed. So my concern is that we are back at risk of flooding in this area.
Well, I know we did do a change order probably a month ago to address this. I'm going to ask the borough engineer to bring council up to speed as to where it's at.
So as you may recall, there was a change order adopted by council, authorized by council to put in storm inlets and piping in the borough right-of-way that is supposed to be connected by the property owner. So as it relates to the work done by the borough's contractor, Asphalt Paving Systems, all that work is completed.
Okay,
So
that
it
has
is-
been
It is set up to be connected to.
Okay, okay. So what's our next move? What's the borough's next move?
On the borough side, we're done.
Okay, okay, so now the homeowner then connects to that and,
Correct.
okay,
And there is a conflict engineer who deals with what happens on the lot.
oh, okay, understood, okay. Did you hear that answer, Mr. Herzog?
No, he walked away from the microphone, so I could not hear him.
The portion of the borough work has been completed, and now the homeowner will be basically doing their obligation, hooking into that pipe, and a conflict engineer will be handling that.
So right now, we have no outlet.
Understood. Do we need to put a pump back in?
That's what we did back in February. I'm not sure why it was taken out when the work wasn't completed. That is a very important stormwater line, and flooding in that area is severe during rainstorms.
So if we need,
Now, we're back where we started.
okay, understood. So if we need to put a pump back in until the lateral is completed, then it's something we'll have to do. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
we just have to look at, what's the delay?
Because it was my understanding we borrowed the pipe.
Pump from Avalon.
The pump from
Right.
Avalon.
Right.
And then for some reason.
And
I'm
Mr.
not
Herzog's,
sure.
yeah, right, it wasn't there very long,
Right,
and
and
then
there
it
was some
disappeared.
sense of,
Right.
let's get it out of there, and I'm not sure why.
so let me call Grant and see
Okay,
if we can get
okay,
it
we're going to
back.
get in touch with Director of Public Works, Mr. Herzog, and find out what's happening, why that pump was removed prematurely.
Yeah, no, it's very disturbing that, it's a safety hazard to not have that line.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll definitely look into it right away. Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address Mayor and Council?
Yes, Mayor, I'm here on behalf of Channel Marine Construction for Mr. Bowen.
Oh, okay, just let me close that. I'm going to get back to you once I close public comment. So just 1 minute, and then we'll do your doc hearing. Is there anybody else who would like to address Mayor and Council?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, who are you?
Yes, my name is Hugh Giordano. I'm
Okay.
the union representative for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union.
Okay.
UFCW, Local 152. We're located in Egg Harbor, our union hall. I just wanted to call in just to address, I know that there's been conversation about cannabis within Stone Harbor, of whether to ban it. And I just wanted to let you know that the UFCW is the official labor union which represents cannabis workers from deep sale under the guise of the AFL-CIO. We represent Garden State Dispensary, which is a medical dispensary over in New Jersey, Verano, which is cultivation, and Bentley, which is a dispensary as well. And I just wanted to ask that you reconsider your ordinance to ban it entirely until you visit the dispensary and see the procedure and how it works and how secure it is. And also just to know those know the type of jobs it's going to create here in New Jersey. We have some of the strongest labor laws within cannabis in the country when it comes to workers' rights within cannabis, which means good wages, health care, sick time, vacation time. And we're also working with Stockton University as well to create a union apprenticeship program. So it will attract young, educated people with degrees in chemistry, botany, and other type of horticultural sciences. So I just wanted to offer Bayonne, the city of Bayonne had an ordinance a couple weeks ago, which is pretty conservative at the size of the state, the other city as well. Very conservative. They're only allowing 2 facilities in the whole city. So what they did was they built out the process of how they would allow someone to come in. Because you still have the power to decide you want a dispensary, you want a laboratory, you want a cultivation site. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can also be just not only adult use. You can ban adult use, but at least allow medical. And so that way it's more of a medicine establishment and not an adult use bar type of establishment. And it's more regulated because you can go to a doctor and you can get a prescription through the state, which formally gives you that card. But they set it up too, where not only do they look at labor standards, but they also look at the environmental impact of the community. I think it's good guardians of the water and land. Even as a dispensary, they're safe, and they want to protect the community. But it's not supposed to be, and it's other incidents. You know, as a labor representative, even talking to the building trade, because the building trades are building up these facilities. So the IBEW, the carpenters, the iron workers, they're building up these facilities as well. And it took some time to talk to them too, but they're working with the state as well to be part of that process. So there's a lot of opportunity, and I hope that we're taking up on the offer to check out the ordinance and also take a tour of the dispensary, just to check it out and just to see it before you get past anything.
Okay, as you know, we already did our introduction, and under the advice of council, we did introduce the most restrictive ordinance that we could introduce. And at the time, we did say that based on the dates of the legislation and the timeline, it was in our best interest to introduce that ordinance while we continue to look at it from a land use perspective, and so on and so forth. But under the advice of council, we introduced that ordinance, and I do not anticipate us backing off of that initial ordinance. As, like I said, we did it on the advice of council. However, thank you for your information. Thank you for your attendance today. And the plan is to continue looking into the pros and cons of what to allow, and what not to allow, should we decide to allow anything. Is there anyone else who would like to address Mayor and Council?
Oh, thank you so much, and I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to listen. It's very nice to come to the council, so thank you so much for being open-minded. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I see nobody else on Zoom, and I see nobody else in the council chambers. Steve Herzog's hand is up again.
Yeah, just one more item. I think it's just in the best interest of the borough if we get the developer to replace that line as quickly as possible. I mean, renting that pump and the piping and installing it again is just an expense that we really don't need to absorb.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else? I don't think Avalon charged us for the use of that pump, did they? No, they didn't, right? There was no charge for the use of the pump. All right, I see nobody on Zoom and no one is approaching the desk, so I'm going to close public comment and I'm going to go back to Channel Marine. Okay, Channel Marine.
Yes, hello, my name is Lauren Plaskett. I'm standing in for Mr. Bowen regarding a permit that application we submitted for 11713 Paradise Drive to construct a pier, an L-shaped floating dock, and a ramp. And the homeowner has a DEP approved permit, which I turned into council. And construction advised that I needed to come before you regarding this permit.
Could you just please spell your last name for the record?
Absolutely. It's P as in Paul, L-A-S-K-E-T.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did everyone read the description on the front of the permit?
Well, I think first do we have to swear in?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's go, so we can have the hearing, right.
Ms. Mayor, would you repeat her last name again?
Could you repeat the last name?
It's Blaskett.
Blaskett.
I'm sorry, could you spell that once more for me, please, ma'am?
It's P as in Paul, L-A-S-K-E-T.
Ms. Plaskett, do you affirm to tell the truth before this board this evening?
I do.
And would you state your address just once more for the record, please?
31 Claremont Drive, Claremont, New Jersey, 08210.
Okay, yes. Councilmember Porzick.
No, I was just asking if everybody, because I had to chuckle when I read the description on the permit of authorizing the construction of a 4-foot wide by 8-foot wide long pier to a 3-foot wide ramp to a 6-foot wide by 20-foot long floating dock with a 4-foot wide by 8-foot wide extension to a 6-foot wide by 18-foot long floating dock to a 3-foot wide by 19-foot long floating dock with 2 5-foot jet ski floats.
Lot happening.
Lot happening.
That's not.
Lot happening.
That's not, I
That-
apologize, that is not correct.
Okay. Well, that's a good start
That's
then.
not the correct address. That is not.
That's what's on your
not-
DEP.
There was something mixed up.
Well, that's what's on your DEP permit. He just read from your DEP permit.
Are the drawings that I have, are they accurate to what you're planning to do? I have an
Yes.
approved plan draw.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so,
Oh, by the, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, what were you going to say?
Yes, there's the approved permit plan that shows the correct layout, which is an L-shaped floating dock, and then the fixed pier as well.
And then the ramp from one to the other, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then if we look at the, I don't want to take over the conversation here.
That's all right, go ahead.
If we look at the existing plan, or what exists there at the present time, there's not a whole lot of difference. I mean, there's a big fixed pier there now with a ramp and a floating dock on the other side of the property. So I did notice that the fixed pier that you're proposing is somewhat shorter than the fixed pier that's there now, if these drawings are correct.
That is, yes, that is correct. It will need to be reduced slightly to conform with the DEP.
But the floating dock is a bit longer than the floating dock that's there right now. So I mean, I guess you could look at that as being a wash, because the property to the north side, they already have, if that drawing is accurate, they already have a floating dock out past the point of what you're proposing. So I guess we're not extending it out further than the neighbor, and we're not creating much of a difference. I do want to ask about the DEP permit. Also calls for a boat lift, which we don't allow. But I think the New Jersey permits always have a boat lift on them. So.
Correct. It's pretty standard that they apply for it, but then we do explain to the Star Harbor residents that it cannot be installed there.
Okay. All right.
So if the description on the DEP permit is not what is taking place, then what?
I believe that description attempts to describe what is on the approved plan. I think when Ray started reading it, perhaps he confused Ms. Plaskett. That's what appears in the verbiage.
So is the description of the authorized activities on the permit the same as the drawing?
Well, I think what Charles is saying is true. I think there's a lot of components to this, and I think 90% of them are on this drawing. It's just the way they chose to describe it. It's a little
Because it's the L shape, and yes.
convoluted.
Correct.
And where are these jet ski floats? Where are you proposing to put those?
They're not going to be jet ski floats. We do not have that included.
Okay.
They're not putting them in.
All right. Well, if that's not there, and you're assuring me there's no boat lift, right?
Will not be installed, correct.
I think, I don't know.
Okay, we have a
I mean,
message coming in regarding this plan from an Andrew Lawden.
Well, hold on one
He's the
second,
owner.
because
He
That's the homeowner.
Okay, he said he had one plan approved by the DEP and then went back and revised it. We may be looking at the former DEP approval.
we're looking at a permit that was approved on March 13th, 2020. Should we be looking at another one?
He's on Zoom. Do you want to ask him to,
Andrew, can you speak? I see that you're on there.
Sure, I wasn't sure that I was permitted to, but, yeah, I can check the dates. So the original plan did have the places for the jet skis.
Excuse me, sir, I'm just going to swear you in for the record before we begin or entertain any testimony. Would you please state your name for the record, spelling your last?
Yo, what's up, Kate? Andrew Lawton. Sitting here listening to us on their council meeting.
Anybody know who that is?
No big deal.
Hey, Jack Kelleher, can you hear me? Because we can hear you. Thank you, Jack. Okay, continue, I'm sorry.
Mr. Loudon, would you please state your name for the record, spelling your last?
Andrew Lawton, last name spelled Lauden.
And would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you.
So continue, sir. Is there a second permit?
There should be. It would take me a second to find the dates on the two, but the first one included the jet skis and did not include the fixed pier. And then the subsequent one, which is the one that should have, that we're discussing, has the fixed pier, but does not have the jet ski docks.
I don't think this is it. I don't think
Yeah.
this is the money he's talking about.
I see something, an approved plan. It's going to be this drawing, if you can see this, and it's dated July 21st. Do we perhaps have the wrong cover page?
And that's the correct plan.
So the cover, the permit with the description that's dated March 13th, 2020, there should be an updated.
Yeah, because the description,
Yeah, this one includes the jet ski floats.
and
Yeah,
it doesn't include a fixed
Right.
pier.
yeah.
So I think that there might have been a mix-up with the permit to the approved plan because there was the back and forth, as Mr. Loudon stated.
Okay.
I was looking at that, so my apologies on that. And the DEP no longer gives us the PDF with the approved, with the date to match up the date. So I can obtain the proper one from Water's Edge Environmental.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the solicitor, do you have something? Oh, so I'm going to ask the solicitor to let me know, should we then adjourn this until we get the proper permit in front of us and hear it then? We can hear it in 2 weeks?
Yes, it would be advisable to carry this motion until all council is assured that they have the proper paperwork to consider.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that understood? So we're going to have to postpone for 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll put you on for 2 weeks. We'll put you on the agenda for 2 weeks from today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Moving on then, ordinance 1584.
Madam Mayor and Council, I offer a motion that ordinance 1584 be taken up on the second reading.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1584 on second reading?
An ordinance regarding stormwater regulation. It replaces current Chapter 470.
The public hearing on ordinance 1584 is open. Scanning my Zoom participants. The public hearing is closed.
Madam Mayor and Council, I offer a motion that ordinance 1584 be passed on second reading and advanced to third and final reading.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1584 on third and final reading?
An ordinance regarding stormwater regulation, replacing current Chapter 470.
Madam Mayor and Council, I offer a motion that ordinance 1584 be passed on third and final reading, adopted, and published according to law.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Ordinance 1585.
Mayor,
Madam Mayor and Council, I make a motion that ordinance 1585 be taken up on second reading.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1585 on second reading?
An ordinance regarding storage of trailers and docks at the Borough Marina.
The public hearing on ordinance 1585 is open.
Madam Mayor, I have a question on the wording of the ordinance. Number.
Okay, just one second, Councilman. Let me close the public hearing first.
Okay.
The public hearing is closed. Go ahead now.
I have a question on the wording of the ordinance, the number 1. I suggest that the wording be changed as follows. The floating dock and ramp owners may replace their trailer and store their dock and ramp no earlier than October 1 of the current year to April 15th of the following year.
So you're saying remove all the S's?
Yeah, I think, I stumbled over that too, because it actually, I think it actually says you can, and somebody will interpret it this way, you know, that you can store your dock and ramp and trailer in that spot, and that's not, you know, I think we all know what we intended to do here.
Floating
But I
docks
think we need to,
and ramp, floating dock and ramp owners may
Yes.
replace and store their trailers with docks, with a dock and ramp, or with just the dock? Floating dock and ramp owners may replace and store their trailers with docks and ramps. So are they permitted to do both docks and ramps?
yes.
Okay.
But they can't do trailers, docks, and ramps.
So
And
floating
that's-
dock and ramp owners may replace and store their trailers with docks and ramps. So we just get rid of the S's?
They can replace, they can store their dock and ramp when their trailer is removed,
Okay.
is really how it is. I
So
mean, I
just-
think it's, just you know, we're not changing any intent here.
Get rid of all the S's.
We're just trying to,
My intention was just to try and clarify the wording.
Dock and ramp owners may replace and store their trailer with dock and ramp. So if we remove the S's, that's the intention, and it seems like it shouldn't.
Yes, if you'd like, I can read it one more time.
Floating dock and ramp owners may replace and store their trailer with dock and ramp. With a dock?
With their, they're taking out their trailer and replacing it
I'm not
with
going
the
to read
docks
it
and
again.
ramps.
Floating dock and ramp owners
it's confusing.
may replace and store their trailer.
Could I approach Councilman Moore?
You may.
Thank you, Joe. Can I see?
There you go.
Since it's not substantive, we can move forward with it once we figure out what the deal is.
I think it reads much better. I don't think it's a material change to the ordinance requiring,
So all the S's, correct?
so it's marked up here. If you want, I can approach council and
Okay.
the mayor.
Floating dock and ramp owners may replace their trailer, may replace and store their trailer,
No,
dock and ramp.
no, they replace their trailer. You can't replace and store the trailer and the ramps and the docks,
Floating dock and ramp owners may replace
the trailer.
their trailer and store
Yes,
their dock and ramp
yes. That's what we
no
wanted to
earlier than
say.
October 1st of the current year.
That's what we wanted to say.
Floating dock and ramp owners may replace their trailer and store their dock and ramp no earlier than October 1st.
Yes.
That's how it shall read. And I would imagine we're good with this being the final. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Moore.
Thank you.
I've now committed that line to memory. So where were we? All right. So now we're back to, I need a motion from Councilmember Gensimer.
Madam Mayor and Council, I make a motion that Ordinance 1585 be passed on second reading and advanced to third and final reading.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the second and advanced to third, and you just called the roll. So now, will the clerk read the total only of Ordinance 1585 on third and final reading?
An ordinance regarding the storage of trailers and docks at the Borough Marina.
Madam Mayor and Council, I make a motion that Ordinance 1585 be passed on third and final reading, adopted, and published according to law.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Ordinance 1586.
Mayor and council, I offer ordinance 1586 covering lot grading for the second, third, and final.
No, just second.
Sorry,
Mr.
my eyesight is
Okay, just,
weak.
so the motion is to make 1586 taken up on second reading.
Thank you.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Will the clerk read the title only of Ordinance 1586 on second reading?
An ordinance of the Borough of Stone Harbor, County of Cape May, New Jersey, establishing additional regulations for the grading and managing stormwater runoff within the Borough of Stone Harbor.
The public hearing on Ordinance 1586 is open.
Can I hand out pictures?
Sure.
Okay. You know what, I'll give you one of these.
Here, I get.
What are you doing? No, you
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Jennifer and Frank have one. Jennifer and Frank have one.
Two.
I'm trying to understand this, I'm Bernadette Parzak, 9925 Sunset. I'm trying to understand this ordinance, but I think what I understand I like. I like the ordinance, and I have to thank Mr. Cates, who gave out this diagram. I guess, did he give it out at the planning board meeting? I can't remember.
No, he did not. If you remember, it was Ray Poudrier who had a rudimentary diagram at the planning board.
Yeah, but then Paul refined it. And he-
Right, but I'm saying it was
he
not
did give
presented
out
at the planning board meeting. This was not.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
we didn't
however
see
I got it, I'm glad to have gotten it because it really is a great diagram. And I did take some pictures. The first three pictures that are in that little packet are pictures of properties that have that kind of a grading method in Stone Harbor already. My sense of this ordinance is that the purpose is to raise the whole grade up to a minimum of 6.5 feet, and that's measured at the front, the front setback line, 10 feet from the property line. And then the land is to slope up to the back of the property. So it forms, so the water can drain to the street. I think it's a good ordinance. And especially if we think at some point in the future we'll be able to raise the streets, and it's a beginning. What I like about the ordinance too is that I believe it's expecting that everyone will grade their properties in this way. I don't think it gives you a choice. That's the expectation. So it's expected to be a gentle slope down. So I do not think that there is a need anymore, any reason why we should have these steps in the side yard setbacks. Because the land is going down. There's no, it doesn't, this ordinance doesn't provide for a series of plateaus that suddenly drop. It's a gentle slope. And I do not think that, that there is a need to have decks in the side yards. They are not permitted. They are structures. They're structures with foundations, with joists, with nails. They're real structures, and they are not permitted by our zoning code. And either are the steps ever. So, but I can't think of any excuse now for people to get away with it any longer. So I would encourage council to pass this zoning ordinance. And I encourage council to see to it that our present zoning ordinances are enforced.
We've been trying to pass it, Bonnie.
Pardon?
We've been trying to pass it.
Oh, what, you'd been trying to pass it since?
The lot grading ordinance.
Right, and I think that there was the holdup because of these, there's a number of issues, you know, that a number of people studied and brought the issues to the planning board. And I don't think the planning board has taken any action at all on them. So I think that there was the hope that there would be some action taken by the planning board, but
Within the lot grading ordinance, we're not addressing the steps and what will be in the setbacks in this particular ordinance.
But can you see it with the passage of this ordinance, this gentle slope? I mean, you can see the green line on here. Why would there be steps along there?
It's like I said, but you're talking about something that the planning board has not even addressed yet. We're just trying to get the lot grading through.
Right.
We're just trying to get the lot grading through. And what you're asking for is not included within this ordinance. And for the planning board to take up and cancel also what will be permitted within the setbacks based on these higher grades will be considered. I think that's what you're saying. Right?
I don't see any way there can even be steps in the side yard because of the gentle slope that goes down.
Okay.
It's like putting steps on this flat floor here. There's no need or reason to put a step here. I think that the slope is, I think it's 1.5 inches, and I have to, is it 1.5 inches for every 10 feet? Is that what it is?
It's 2%, which is 0.02 times 12.
I think,
It's a quarter of an inch per foot.
It's a 1/4 inch per foot.
2%.
And this is 1.5%, I think.
I think what Bunny's trying to say is, these three drawings really illustrate, because they're all bulkhead drawings. They with your different street elevations out front. And I think what this really does is make it clear that, that when you look at this, you can see that there really isn't a need to put stairs there. You don't have to put stairs there to accommodate this lot grading ordinance. So, that being said.
Right, the entire lot's coming up.
That being
The
said.
entire
well,
lot.
Entire lot's coming up.
You do have some stairs in the front, on the bottom illustration there, where you have such a low street level. So it kind of goes back, and I'm going to get off track a little bit here, Mayor. Please bear with me, because it was mentioned in the planning board Monday before last, that, and what I think is that there's no one-size-fits-all on this. It's different across the whole island, depending on your current elevation, your street elevation, where the back end of your property line ends so far in the water, or maybe it doesn't end in the water. So there's a lot of variables here moving forward. And when Kate said that one of his recommendations, if you recall, was to develop the overlays of the different street elevations, which I hope he works, is he still there?
Yeah.
With Mark on developing that, so the borough can start to get an idea of, hey, when we're developing the plans for redoing the streets, maybe we ought to put our heads together and say, you know what, it's time to start picking some of the low ones and raising them.
Right.
And
that's right.
And then we're going to find more things that, oh geez, we didn't think of this, or look what this is doing, and we're going to have to keep making adjustments as we go along. But Paul's drawings here, I think, does make it clear that the steps are not a necessity. You don't need to do it that way.
It provides for a gentle slope, not a series of
It was
plateaus.
my understanding, too, that part of the issue is when we do the 8-foot, those next door are looking down. Now you're back here, you're looking down on these folks who have yet to come up.
Yes.
Nothing's going to change that.
Well, that was my other comment, that is a real structure. We don't allow real structures. It's not as if they're pavers.
No, it's going to be dirt or grass is what.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, the whole
absolutely,
island's all coming up,
absolutely.
and there's going to be a retaining wall that's going to hold that dirt in. So there's going to be somebody standing up there looking down.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Just
yes.
so, I mean,
But for the structure to go up to the line, I think is over the top.
So that's, we discussed what we could do with pools, how do you do these things, but all of that being said, it's not in a lot grading ordinance.
Right.
Which we're trying to pass tonight. This is what you're talking about, is addressing other issues.
The steps are, but until, the steps are part and parcel to this grading ordinance.
They work together. So I'm hoping that the planning board in the near future is going to take this up for discussion based on Poudrier's comments. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Frank, you got your glasses? Frank, you want these?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a handout with my markups on the lot grading ordinance. I apologize, I don't have enough for all of the people in the audience.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, to begin, of course, my name is Justine Herzog. That's Herzog. My home is at 10215 Sunrise Drive. And my purpose is to comment on the lot grading ordinance. So I do want to follow up on Bunny Parzik's comments about structures and the side yard setbacks. I realize that is not part of this ordinance, but driving around Stone Harbor, it's quite clear that the existing requirements of the existing ordinance are not being enforced. And like the mayor said, you can have dirt behind the bulkhead, you can smack a bush on it or whatever, but putting a structure from side yard to side yard, my understanding, it is not allowed by the current ordinances, and it is simply not being enforced. And that is what is driving the frustration here. So, yes, if you're going to update those ordinances down the road, fine, but they should be enforced today while they are applicable to the current construction. And it's not happening. So I'm not sure what to do with that or what.
I think probably the thing to do is if you provided the addresses of where these violations are with the zoning officer, because everything is being inspected by the zoning office.
Okay, so that would be,
that's Ray Poudrier.
Okay. Okay, and then if nothing happens, like people are already building these, okay, I guess I object to it not being enforced. So I will address it with Ray, but I believe it already has been. So
I'm not under the impression that our construction office or our zoning office is not enforcing our zoning regulations.
We have pictures of it. We have pictures of it. So, yeah, I mean, it's in Bunny's pictures that she just handed you. So, but I won't go there.
What the zoning ordinance does not allow steps in the side yard setback to enter the home.
No, it only allows it.
No, do you remember then we changed it? It was, then we brought them up so you could get within the 5 feet. There was the 5 yard setback to enter the home.
Okay, can I just interject this? Am I detecting the council's commitment that the council believes that Stone Harbor should be enforcing the current ordinances with regard to that? Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
if we can just leave on that common ground,
yes.
then we'll move on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all right, so now moving on to my comments. First of all, I marked up a copy of the ordinance. I do have 6 comments. One of them is kind of peripheral, and it's the last ones. But I thought the easiest thing was to simply mark up the ordinance. So you'll see it's dated today, and I've noted each page. So I'm moving on to page 4 is my first comment. And this is not directly related to lot grading, but when you read our ordinance, this is very misleading and very confusing ways of stating maximum and minimum requirements. If you look on page 4 of 8, this is for residential lot C, and I understand that in those cases you want a maximum and a minimum building coverage, but to say that maximum building coverage shall not be less than 25%, what does that mean? That means that the maximum building coverage must be more than 25% and has no upper limit. Now, so I would really suggest that we ask the borough engineer to take a relook at these 3 statements because they are confusing and they absolutely contradict what's written right above it. So unless there's something I'm not interpreting correctly. You know, I put this ordinance right next to the old ordinance. By the way, this is in the old ordinance. But since you're revising it, when else is it going to get fixed? And it's a simple fix. I think the intent, at least on the first one, is to say that the minimum building coverage shall not be more than 25%. The minimum building coverage shall be 25%, meaning you can't have a building smaller than that on there. But I don't think we can debate what it is here, but it sure is confusing to me. And it should be a simple fix.
Okay, continue, you continue.
Okay, so then I'm going on to my comment number 2, which is on page 5 of 8. At the top of the current grading ordinance, 560-50, there is a statement that says that any construction or subdivision proposals that are submitted as according to Chapter 345 are exempt from the lot grading. So in this revision to the ordinance, what's not clear is that statement staying in or is it gone? I would personally hope it's gone, because I think even if someone is going by the zoning applications or the planning board applications for a subdivision, that they would still be expected to comply with this ordinance and submit a request for variances if they couldn't. But having a blanket exception kind of leaves Stone Harbor open to, I think, some problems down the road. So I just want to be sure that I'm interpreting it as gone. But it's not clear that that was deleted.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, I'll move on. We go down to item 5 on page 5 of 8. It's my comment number 3. All new construction and substantial improvements as defined in Chapter 300 will be required to furnish and install an underground stormwater recharge system to limit the amount of runoff generated by the construction. I think you're not trying to just limit runoff during construction. I believe that should say generated by the new or modified building lot configuration. And I have a specific drum to beat in this area that I will reveal to you later. So if you just agree to take that into consideration. Item 4, detail S2, which is S1 in the current ordinance, is not available. It's not anywhere on the website. I emailed Ray Poudrier today. He doesn't have it. So how do I know what S2 is? It hasn't been provided to the public. And I said, you know, I searched under S1 and S2 on our website, and nothing comes up.
Okay.
Okay, so I would like to see that. I think that we deserve to see that before this moves forward. And I do think this is a good ordinance. So, you know, don't think I'm trying to drag the process down, but I do think that it requires, you know, the ability to review it. Okay, comment 5. If you read this under item 7, it says, all new construction or construction constituting substantial improvement adjacent to roadways where the average centerline elevation, comma, measured at the property lines is below 6 feet. That measured at the property lines doesn't belong there. You can't measure a center line of a road at the property line. It already says it's adjacent to the road. The property is adjacent to the road. So that's a total misnomer there.
Okay.
Okay, and my last one is, well, it's really my next to last one, but item 6. Concerns about the max height of the decking exceeding the height of the 8-foot bulkhead. I think that, I realize that might not be, that's kind of a corollary to this that probably belongs in other ordinances, but I am concerned that we're seeing people slap decks on top of the 8-foot high bulkhead. And here's the thing, I sat in this very room with many of you for the planning board meetings where it was discussed about the desire by many residents to create open visual space between properties. So they were concerned about these mega mansions. Well, what you have to consider, and if you walk along and look at these 8-foot bulkheads now, These 8-foot bulkheads are a wall from the street. Now, I realize we have to posture ourselves that way for the future, but to exacerbate that by adding 4, 6, or 10 inches of decking on top of that further interferes with the viewscape of the person who's walking their dog along Sunset or Sunrise or whatever street, getting a glimpse of the water. And that's, you know, that's a value to the residents of Stone Harbor. So I would ask to please be sure we take that into consideration. I do have one last question, and it's not.
Justine, we did modify this when we did the 8-foot bulkheads. This, if you're 7 inches above an 8-foot bulkhead, your deck height is exactly what it was years ago. We didn't change the deck heights. We kept them where they were.
Okay, so 7 inches.
The difference is going out into the side yard setback with it.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right, okay. All right, okay. So there is a limit. Okay, so you can ignore I just am not aware of that, and I have to search more and become more acquainted with the ordinances. So I'm going to cross out number 6. Thank you, Ray. Lastly, I want to ask, I think maybe Mr. de Blasio can answer this, or the mayor. Ray is not here, obviously.
Can I just clarify one thing?
Sure.
Mr. de Blasio is not the engineer that worked on this ordinance. It was Paul Case, the planning board engineer.
Okay.
He didn't draft it. It was drafted by Mr. Case. It was vetted by Mr. Baldini.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry. I got kind of getting people mixed up.
I know you kept looking over Mr. de Blasio.
Okay. Item B at the top of page 6. The system shall be designed to collect stormwater runoff from the roof leaders or an equivalent amount of runoff through inlets or yard drains. This ordinance has been in effect since, that's part of the existing ordinance, by the way, has been in effect since October 2018, so 2.5 years. In that time, I see homes being built. I know that they have the underground recharge system. The grades are relatively flat on small lots. They've got the 1.5% from the rear yard to the street, and there are no gutters on the house. So basically, my concern is we are having these systems, underground recharge systems, put in, and nothing's connected to them. No water is going to get to them. They are not going to absorb all that square footage of runoff just based on this long, narrow device underground. So I called that to raise attention today, but I am wondering, being that there's people in this room that have a lot more experience than I do in Stone Harbor construction, should that specifically say, not only is it designed, but it has to collect from the roof gutters. It says it's supposed to be designed. It never says to connect them. And I will tell you, I know specifically of properties where there are no roof gutters, but this system, a lot of money was spent putting this system in underground. So it's like worthless. So I guess I'm asking, do people think that perhaps B at the top deserves a clarification, that instead of be designed, the system, the roof leaders or gutters will be connected to this recharge system? I see the mayor nodding, but is anybody else with me, or is this?
Well, no, that only makes sense, sure.
Yeah, because they're not being connected, and the gutters are not even being installed. And this came to mind simply because I'm adding some gutters to my house, but my house was built before the present ordinance was input. So I don't have the underground recharge system, but as an engineer with a lot of years of industrial construction, I certainly understand what the recharge system is. But you got to direct the water to it in order for it to work. And it's not happening. And I don't believe the builders understand that that means basically in a town where most homes don't have gutters, that now you have to put gutters on the house. and connect it to this recharge system. So that's the extent of my comments. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Can we keep talking? Can we keep talking now?
Let me check,
Yeah.
let me see if there's anybody with their hand up. I'm checking Zoom. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think those comments were all valid. I think, you know, whether people agree with me or not, I think we should go ahead with this ordinance. When we've amended ordinances many times in the past, we should have Kate's and even, you know, Mark take another look at this and see what they feel on these comments. Anything we can do to tighten up an ordinance or make it clearer, for more clarity and understanding, I think it would behoove us to do that. So that's what I think. I mean, we've been talking about this ordinance forever, and I think that's what we should do. And we can amend it, you know, if it's next month or month after, and clean it up a little bit. And it's not, I guess it's not really fair to blame Paul, because most of this was in effect before he took on these modifications. So, just my thoughts.
Anybody else have anything you want to add?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Just one quick comment. So with regard to rain gutters and yard drains are sufficient as long as your grading plan is pitched towards those yard drains. So that rain leaders don't necessarily have to feed into that. So if the slope is pitched towards the yard drain and is properly closed by, it will be sufficient without the addition of gutter systems to the house. A lot of homeowners prefer not to have gutter systems because they to obscure what is otherwise expensive and, you know, decorative prep molding, which is part of the architectural aesthetic that, you know, they spend money to build. So just with regard to the gutter systems, they're not necessarily in order to achieve the desired runoff and recharge collection.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Who was that?
It's Charles. He had to leave. He's on Zoom.
Can I come back up and respond to that, please?
Sure.
Okay, should I state my name again and everything or not?
Sure, just so it'll flow when they're listening.
Yeah, okay. Justine Herzog, 10215 Sunrise Drive. First, I want to comment, absolutely, Charles, I agree with you. If the grading is sloped to collect the proper amount of stormwater, and I guess that is what is very, very ambiguous here. Because if you look back on what I've marked as page 4 of 8, because I realize some people have this printed out on legal size paper. I have it printed out on 8.5 by 11. But if you look at the, excuse me a second. Now I'm going back and forth on the pages. Okay, page 5 of 8. The applicant shall install 5 linear feet of underground storage for every 500 square feet of the total pervious and semi-impervious coverage. Well, what's the question is what kind of square footage of rainwater collection are you trying to occur here? That's not defined in this ordinance. It's very ambiguous. Are you trying to take, you know, the rainwater off of 100 square foot of lawn and divert it into this underground recharge system? Or are you trying to collect the impervious and semi-pervious collection? And personally, I don't think you can do both of those. You can, the impervious you can collect off the house, but semi-pervious, but on a lot that's only 6,600 square feet, a standard lot, you do not have room to create a big drainage depression where the stormwater recharge system sits at the base of that depression. There is one up on the beachfront that did that, but they have a very large backyard and it's got a lot of landscaping, and there literally is a depression there that if you didn't realize what it was, you would not understand why they put it there. So I don't know how else you do it on a small lot. But like I said, this has been required for 2.5 years, and there has to be some way to direct the water to this. It's not a matter of just it collecting the water that sits on top of it. That's not going to do anything for flood control and for recharge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Comments? Anyone? Check my Zoom again. I'm going to close. Hold on. I see no hands up on Zoom, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And before we go on to the next motion, is there any discussion council wants to have on the ordinance?
Well, are we good with my
Well, I guess the only way
recommendation
we're
that
going to
we?
know is when we get to the vote, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, if we do pass it, which I'm sure we will, that we look at some of these items and amend as necessary. As long as we have that agreement, I think we can go forward.
Right, but that would require a vote on the agreement. You know what I mean? Right now, what we're going to
okay,
do
all
is
right,
we're going to have
okay.
a vote on this ordinance. If you are not comfortable with the content of the ordinance and you think that it requires significant changes, then you should vote no. If
But
you
isn't
think
that-
it doesn't require significant changes, then vote
Why
yes.
but can't we have the vote on can't I make a motion beforehand that we?
No, we're in the middle of, we can't make a motion on an ordinance that's just about to go into its second reading. We got to close out an item of business before we open another item of business. So we can't have a vote within the vote. No. So that's what I'm saying. If anybody wants to have any discussion, now is the time, and then we're going to have to call for the vote.
Well,
You've heard, so everybody
I
has
still
heard.
think, I still go by what I said earlier. In my opinion, we should pass the ordinance and move on and take another look at it. And if it's deemed necessary to amend some sections, then we'll do that in the not real distant future to fix anything that's been pointed out that may be incorrect. That's my thought.
Okay. So, public hearing is closed. We need the motion by Councilmember Dallahan. You see where we're at?
What's my place? Mayor and council, I offer ordinance 1586 be passed on second reading and advance to third and final reading.
And I second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes?
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Oh, no,
Councilmember Kraftcheck? Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1586 on third and final reading?
An ordinance of the Borough of Stone Harbor, County of Cape May, New Jersey, establishing additional regulations for the grading and managing stormwater runoff within the Borough of Stone Harbor.
Mayor and council, I offer ordinance 1586 be passed on third and final reading, adopted and published according to law.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S99.
Madam Mayor and Council, I offer Resolution 2021-S99, which awards a beach storage shed to Shelter Haven Hospitality.
I will second.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S100.
Madam Mayor, I offer resolution 2021 S-100 for adoption.
Second.
This resolution authorizes amendments to our borough ordinance regarding exit interviews with employees that are leaving the borough, specifically that our business administrator with the department head shall conduct such interview on the last day of employment, and specifically that they shall discuss and obtain information on recruitment strategy going forward for that position.
Any discussion?
Yes. Madam Mayor and Council, an exit interview is generally conducted by Human Resources. It gives an organization an opportunity to obtain frank and honest feedback from an employee who's leaving our employment. Who is considered Human Resources in our organization?
The Borough Administrator.
Then my question is, wouldn't a well-designed exit survey to retain top talent and to build a more happier and more engaged workplace be conducted by our Borough Administrator solely?
Go ahead, Bob.
I understand the point that you're making, and I did weigh that in my mind as to whether or not the department head should be involved or should not. And I did consider the frankness and the honesty of an exit interview, whether or not the department head was there or not. And that certainly did weigh on my mind, but I ultimately felt that an employee that was exiting would have the ability to be honest, and I thought it was important for any department head to listen firsthand to the feedback so that they could be, so they could benefit directly from listening to the feedback from that exiting employee. I did take it into consideration. I went back and forth, but I ultimately felt that it was probably better to have the department director involved in the exit interview so that he or she could listen and benefit, although I am cognizant of the concern that you raise.
Preferably, I would like an exit interview to be with an independent third party so that we could collect information. Quite frankly, if we're not going to have skip level exit interviews, I think SurveyMonkey would be adequate. I really question how open and honest people can be who are exiting when they're talking to the same people they've talked to all the time anyway. There's been ample opportunity to share information, share pluses and minuses of their employment. This is a chance for the management of the borough to collect information that they can directly report to borough councils so that we can build a stronger Stone Harbor.
So anecdotally, I felt that the last 2 exit interviews, that the exiting employees were exceptionally frank and honest with their assessment. And if the Borough Council felt that it was appropriate to hire an outside contractor to do that, then that's something that I would certainly consider or weigh in on. But at this point, I am truthfully, I'm fairly satisfied with the way the last 2 went. And I did take copious notes, and I felt that the department director was able to benefit from being a part of that discussion. That's the way I felt.
Could the department director benefit by you reporting back to what you learned in the exit interview from the employee?
I suppose, but there's nothing like hearing something firsthand, at least in my opinion, the way I witness things, as opposed to it being relayed by myself to the department director. And again, these are all considerations that I thought about. And ultimately, where I landed was I felt that it was best that the department director hear directly from the employee, and I felt it was more impactful. That was my impression. And that doesn't mean that I'm insensitive to the issues that you raise. It's just that that's where I ended up landing on the issue, and I felt it was most appropriate.
Anybody else?
I think it's very difficult to have someone in the management structure conduct an exit interview. I think Jen's point about having a third party who is not associated with the borough management is a much more effective way of getting a more truthful answer to whatever problems or questions that develop that result in the employee deciding to leave the employment of the borough. That's not any knock at you, Bob. It's just, I think there's just too many things going on when someone decides to leave.
It's on.
What's the matter? You can't hear me?
I can, the audience can't.
Is that better?
Just pull it all the way up to your, within like 3 inches of your face.
Within 3 inches of my face.
Yes.
Swallow the
Yes, plug into it.
microphone.
They make me put mine a foot from my face because you guys won't get within 3 inches of it. So, yes.
In any event, that's based on my experience with several different corporations in dealing with exit interviews. So.
It's going to be, it's that, you know, we're amending this to add the borough administrator to the process. I think we ought to give it a shot for a while and see how it pans out. I don't think, you know, and here I go again, trying to figure out a diplomatic way to say this. I don't think the kind of employees we're talking about leaving the borough, I don't think they're going to hold back in saying whatever they feel like saying, no matter who's sitting at that table. I think there's going to be a whole lot of honesty there, and you got the borough administrator to be the referee, and I think you know, we're not talking about corporate level people that are leaving the staff. You know, we're talking about the people in public works and the people with the lifeguards and the people with the police department, you know, that are they're more or less kind of entry-level positions. They're not
Usually at
they're
that
not
point,
professional
kind of-
types, you know?
Wouldn't you agree that they usually have nothing to lose at that point? Because they're leaving?
I think they welcome an exit interview.
Yes, and we,
You know?
right, we welcome
And-
the.
and they have no plans on
Very
coming
honest,
back.
I would agree with you.
So
I would agree with
I
you.
think,
There's
you know,
nothing to lose, and they're going to be very honest.
if after, 15 interviews, you feel it's not working or you're not getting the right kind of feedback, then we can revisit it.
I'm okay with that. Give it a shot.
Anybody else, anything?
I agree also.
I agree.
I think that, this is a new step. I think that we need to try it, and let's make sure that it works well. If we find that it's not working like we had hoped, then we should reconsider.
Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
No.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S-101.
Mayor and Council, I offer Resolution 2021 S-101 for adoption.
Second.
This resolution, PSENG, Grant Sustainable Energy, Sustainable Jersey, is about, it's about a grant proposed by an energy company that sponsors through Sustainable Jersey.
Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S-102.
Madam Mayor, I offer resolution 2021 S-102 for adoption.
Second.
This resolution involves the property at 407 96th Street, which was sold, and the selling owner, the William Patterson Trust, had a direct debit set up for tax payments. The debit tax payment schedule was not eliminated on sale, so taxes were drawn on that account, which should have been attributed to the new owner. This authorizes the repayment of that overpayment from the seller.
Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S-103.
Madam Mayor and Council, I offer Resolution 2021-S-103. It's the Union League liquor license changes.
Second.
Any discussion? What those changes entail are they will be able to open up 1 week earlier, so they'll be opening this Saturday before Memorial Day weekend, and it's going to permit Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during the hours of 9 to 5 p.m. They can have activities, however, no sale of alcoholic beverages. That's the changes to the license. So any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S-104.
Mayor and Council, I offer Resolution 2021-S-104 for adoption.
Second.
This is a refund surety money to Scarborough Marine Group. If you recall, they dredged some private slips, and we let them offload over the bulkhead at the end of 99th Street. They posted $5,000 in surety money, and we're returning it to them.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S-105.
You got it, Frank?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor and council, I offer Resolution 2021 S-105 for adoption.
Second.
This is an addition to the S-Leo police officers to the borough's police staff.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S-106.
Madam Mayor and council, I offer Resolution 2021-S-106 for adoption.
Second.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to sign an NJDEP Treatment Works approval for the application at 112th Street.
Second.
Okay, I didn't hear it. Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2021 S-107.
Madam Mayor and council, I offer Resolution 2021-S-107 for adoption.
Second.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to sign NJDEP Borough of Water System Engineering application for 112th Street.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
I need a motion approving the spring sidewalk sale that we discussed in the work session, April 30th to May 2nd, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion authorizing the mayor to sign the letter of support for the Atlantic City Jitney Association as discussed in the work session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No items for discussion on the agenda. I need a motion approving the bill list.
Mayor and council, I move that we approve the bill list and authorize the CFO to pay the bills when the funds are available and the vouchers are properly endorsed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? At this time, we're about to consider a resolution to go into private session. We'd appreciate if you would all kindly go downstairs until the resolution has been acted upon. At the conclusion of the private session, we will come back in the public session for the purpose of either taking action as a result of our discussion in private session or to simply adjourn. It is also possible that someone might bring up some other item of business in public session after we come back from private session. Resolution 2021 S-108.
Mayor and council, I offer Resolution 2021-S-108 for closed session.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Need a motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll now have our second public comment. Anyone wishing to address Mayor and Council may do so at this time by raising your hand electronically or approaching the desk in the center of the room in council chambers. 5, That guy, and one raised hand. Jack Kelleher, go ahead.
Okay, well, first, let me apologize for not being on mute earlier in the meeting, but I am Jack Kelleher, 11810 3rd Avenue, also the Vice President of the Stone Harbor Property Owners Association. So, and I am speaking on behalf of Chicago right now. So, last council meeting, Councilman Moore actually attempted to submit a resolution to look at, I believe it was 6 points, to try to address some of the increasing costs of the borough. And we expected it to be kind of voted on in this meeting here. It was deferred, but we haven't heard anything about it. So I'm just curious as to what the status of that resolution is.
Jack, what happened there was yesterday, Councilmember Moore did ask to have that added to the agenda. However, the agenda is set and posted and published the Friday before the council meeting. And when we discussed this at the April 6th council meeting, it was specifically stated that there would be an A&F meeting where the items would be discussed, prioritized, and submitted in written form so the administrator had clear direction. So since none of that had taken place, and we can't put things on the agenda last minute without having the public know what business we're going to be tending to, and also for council members to have ample time to know what they're voting on. So it's tabled until A&F can meet and have that meeting and present in writing what those priorities are. Council will then take a vote on it.
So the cause was the A&F did not meet on this prior to the agenda being set? Is that the reason?
Correct, because A&F needs to do, the instructions that council gave was A&F was to meet, they were to discuss those 6 points, they were to prioritize them and submit something in writing. So the administrator was aware, the administrator and the CFO had clear direction.
Okay.
So we need for that to happen.
So I guess the next question is, when is the next A&F meeting, and will it be addressed, and will this be on the agenda for the following council meeting?
Well, what I'm being told is they're going to meet next Tuesday, 1 week from today, and it should be on the agenda for the first meeting in May, which means it will be made, that list and those priorities will be part of the public agenda posted the Friday before the meeting.
Great. All right. And you know, Chicago is extremely supportive. I think it's really some of the, some positive steps in trying to get some of the costs under control there. So we're anxious to see this resolution submitted and voted on.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address Mayor and Council? I'm seeing no one on Zoom and no one in council chambers, so I'm going to close public session. Before we adjourn, I need a motion authorizing the borough administrator to proceed as discussed in closed session in reference to ongoing contract negotiations for Public Works.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Casper? Yes. Councilmember Gensimer? Yes. Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.